We are live. What was that weird voice crack right there?
Puberty.
It might be. Or it might be working nonstop for 3 weeks. This is the Nightcap, a live version, another live version, right here on BearcatJournal.com, brought to you, as always, by our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Get some Galactic delivered tomorrow night. It's a little Sunday night dinner. Galactic Fried Chicken. Or stop in down to Dayton, Kentucky. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15%. All right, let's get this tweeted out.
Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're here.
Yes, please do. We've had a lot of new faces, a lot of new people that have.
I think the stats were almost 40% of our content viewed is right now by non-subscribers. So
please do that.
It's hefty. I like how we're both quiet as we're right. I'm tweeting out the other one. Oh, I have to watch an ad for mine before I can get the link to tweet it out. It's really cool.
We're partners. We're affiliates now on Twitch, so
that's why there's commercials.
There can be a little bit of silence here and there.
Yeah, it's not going to go to the podcast form, is it?
No, I didn't plan on it. It's a nightcap. The nightcaps are never in podcast form. If you want the nightcap, you gotta either watch or when we go live, be here live. That's how it goes. Scintillating conversation. I know, right?
You're welcome.
Congratulations. Thanks, Sean, for being a Bearcat Journal subscriber. We appreciate that.
When I said subscribers, I meant people that are subscribed to the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's a subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us out. So like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. But we always appreciate our Bearcat Journal subscribers. Good day today. Had a couple long conversations with parents that have been members for a long time. It always, like, that's one of the things I love is that, like, the parents kind of look to us to find out. Look, you remember when you were 18 to 22, like you weren't calling your parents and letting them know how practice goes every day, right? Not much of these guys anyway.
I wasn't telling my parents shit that I was doing when I was in college.
Right? So they subscribe to Bearcat Journal, and they can follow along with what's going on with their children and let us handle the details. Andrew, I was told soon. I think there is one contract still being finalized from what I've heard. And when that contract gets finalized, then they'll be ready to release the schedule. So we're almost there.
I think people are getting antsy because the women's non-conference was released.
Yeah, and I mean that's what it comes down to is it's a matter of once you get all your contracts signed, sealed, and delivered, then you release the schedule. Not quite there yet.
Hi, Crypt Keeper.
Getting there. Hi, Crypt. It's we're having some beers tonight. What are you having?
Also a Bud Light, but the seltzer edition.
Yeah.
I ate a whole pizza tonight, so watching some caloric intake.
A whole pizza?
A whole pizza.
I had pizza tonight as well. I was a little disappointed.
Mine was oven pizza, so
I had I love and I've always loved the Founder's Favorite from Donato's. Pepperoni, sausage, ham, banana peppers.
Yeah.
It's just always been a favorite of mine. And my God, like they put 4 pizzas worth of cheese on this thing tonight. And
cheese.
I like cheese, but like even when you opened it, you could tell like this ain't something ain't right. You took a bite into it, and it was like there's more cheese than crust. There should never be more cheese than crust. I still ate like 4 pieces of it, so it's all good. But yeah, we're up to 26. We're at a good starting point now.
Sure.
You watched the post scrimmage videos.
I did.
That'll clog the pipes. Yeah, I'm worried about.
Agreed.
I'm worried about tomorrow, Garrison. I'm worried about tomorrow. I'll tell you that. You watched post practice videos. Luke Fickell, Wilson Huber, Trey Tucker. Anything that jumped out at you on those that you want to talk about?
I already knew it was happening because I saw. I think Dan Horde had the picture from Shark. But the fire department there with the hose raining down from the
making it rain
over the field,
yeah.
I thought was pretty fantastic and a way to close it out for the guys to just basically run through a giant sprinkler. After
I was disappointed.
Why?
I heard there was going to be a slip and slide involved.
Oh,
but for whatever reason that didn't happen.
Maybe they couldn't get one big enough to where they were. Well, let's think about this. If the players were on a slip and slide, there is some things that can happen on a slip and slide that would not be conducive to starting the season healthy.
I think it more would have been. I mean, it was family day.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of like, brothers and
kids running around. Sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids. Yeah, we need some sub badges. I think I have an opening for. We need emotes too. I think I have an opening for like 5 emotes on the Twitch.
For those of you who are on YouTube, this is what we're referring to from the Twitch stream. They can't see each other's comments, right? Like YouTube can't see Twitch comments and Twitch can't see YouTube comments.
I think there's a bot you can download.
Okay.
For StreamYard that'll allow you to do that. Yeah, the star ain't it. I feel you, Lamp Big. We're new to all of this, and it's happening very fast.
Agreed.
But yeah, we're working on that stuff.
We also brought in somebody who knows way more about social media than we do. So
yeah, so
fingers crossed.
Yeah. I ordered the thing, the sign.
Oh, here you go, chat. The bot shows chat on the screen as opposed to you pushing it, so I wouldn't actually have to
do anything. Yeah,
right. I love all those words.
I let Aaron let you produce, right? That's what you're here for.
Telling you.
I'm sorry. With the end of camp, what do you feel about the team? We'll get into that. That's it's kind of what we're doing. The whole point of this show is we'll get into it. And then, I don't want to give it all away because we're going to have content Monday. Dave is going to be gone for this week's BCJ podcast. I got Dave a guest host when I was gone in LA. I secured a guest host today for Wednesday night.
Is it the one that we discussed?
It is.
Nice.
It is. Should I tell everybody?
Tease it.
He was at practice today with his hilarious and wonderful child that has an amazing head of lettuce. So if you follow him on Twitter, that should give it away.
All right.
Yeah. Which also means less filtering. Yeah. The only thing I don't like about that though is I don't like when we're in the middle of a podcast, something coming up in the chat on the screen when we're not ready for it.
Yeah, but I think it's just popping up as people say it, so you can go back and make that the one that you are hitting.
Yeah, I just sometimes like to wait until we finish a thought. Holly pays attention. I like that, Holly. I like people that pay attention. Holly pays attention. Yes, Tony Pike will be joining us as the co-host for the BCJ podcast on Thursday. I got you. We'll figure it out, Lamping. We're getting there. Again, it's a lot right now. the last 2.5 weeks, we've never ever done
not this much video content for sure.
Yeah, and the audio content has been right there. The written content has been right there. Man, we got Twitch ads. We're big time now. Not wrong. I mean, I saw in my inbox, I wasn't expecting that on Twitch. I logged into Twitch the other day, and I called Aaron, and I was like, Twitch just sent us an affiliate link. Like,
we on the come up.
Let's start making some money on the Twitch. And do you have your Madden yet?
Yeah, I got it. I finally got to play. I've been busy with baby and time codes and kids going back to school this week, and
I think I played three games on the Twitch stream. 2 were in like one stream, and then 1 was in another stream. And then I rage quit a game.
I played like 3 hours last night, and it was all just the Madden Ultimate Team, just because they were quick hit little things.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, one more. All right, one more. All right, one more.
Yes, if you're on Twitch, we've got 5 people on Twitch right now. If you have Amazon Prime, you can now use your free subscription every month right here on Bearcat Journal and help support. And then we got 36 YouTube people here. I need to more rage quit content. If we start to do some on the YouTube, this would be strictly specifically on the YouTube. If we start to do some of these like members only, like where you do the $5 and become a member of Bearcat Journal on YouTube, if we start to drop some members only
chats
content like this that would be made members only, would you be inclined to become a member of the YouTube? Because I think there's a lot we can do that. I would feel a lot more comfortable doing like recruiting conversation, if there was a members only section where we were just doing it kind of exclusively for the people that were members of the YouTube channel. I know the members of Bearcat Journal will get mad at me for that in some way, shape, or form. But we do have, here's the thing. I love the Zoom calls with fans. Zoom just doesn't hit the way it used to anymore. We'll look into that potentially for like the way we used that in the past was strictly for like post game after big games.
Right. On
a Saturday night, maybe we would all hang out. That might still be an option. I still have all the Zoom subscriptions that I'm paying for, so I guess we might as well use them from time to time. But this would be more content like this, where we're interacting with the chat. It's a lot of back and forth, and you get that if you become a member of the YouTube channel. We have some membership on the YouTube channel, and this is kind of like wanting to give them, 1, something for their money, and 2, for being honest, wanting to grow that a little bit. So Yeah.
Full disclosure.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Like, look, we're trying to make money. I would love more than anything to get to a point where Aaron and Dave are full time, where we're making enough money that I can pay Aaron and Dave to work here full time and devote all of their time to Bearcat Journal. You're
all of our time.
All of your time. All of it.
Families be damned.
Yeah. Hey.
You need to request your vacations. You can't just leave all willy-nilly.
Yeah, we can do it with Twitch subscribers too. We got to get that a little more off the ground than where we're at so far. Right now, YouTube, because we've had more traction with YouTube so far. The Twitch thing, we started about the same time, but that's a community that takes a little bit more time to grow than the YouTube community. So, and there's not, I'd pay you full time too. Look, you have no idea. I'd like to be one of the, like, Alabama, Ohio State, North Carolina, those places that have 4, 5, 6 full-time members on staff. I would love that. But they also have 10,000 to 12,000 subscribers, which is a significant portion more than we do. We've talked about Discord.
We're still looking into Discord.
We've talked about Discord. That is one of the next future steps. Right now we're focusing on YouTube, Twitch. We hired Reagan. We're hopefully going to have her on here at some point in the near future as well, for Instagram and TikTok. Discord is on the list. Trust me.
It's definitely been discussed.
When can you expect to see my first TikTok? I toyed with the idea of trying to mess around with it today, but I didn't want to not watch practice. Like, that is always,
it was an important one. You should have done it yesterday with the BCJ.
Yeah. Those non-padded practices drive me crazy, Aaron.
Yeah, they wouldn't be my favorite.
Crazy. Anyhow, all right. That's enough BCJ stuff. People are here for football talk, Aaron.
Yes.
Videos. Anything you took from the videos? Any questions? Oh, hold on. We got it. There we go.
All right.
You got the wheel.
Well, I guess we'll start with Luke.
Okay.
Makes sense. That was the first video I watched, so that's going to be the furthest from my memory at this point. So in Luke's interview, obviously he's not giving away a quarterback, and I think he almost doubled down in that this race legit was much closer than I think anyone anticipated. I think it was closer than the media anticipated. I wonder how. I wonder if it was closer than maybe even the players anticipated. I don't know.
I don't know how you could have come out of spring and not anticipated it to be close.
I don't
with how close it was.
I was going further back. I was going further back than spring.
Then that's fair. That's fair, because I think coming into spring there was a heavy belief that Ben should have a significant advantage here, and Evan has made it a great battle through 15 spring practices, and then essentially another 15 practices at higher ground. And look, Aaron, 30 practices, if someone is going to pull away, 30 practices should be enough.
Yeah. And
I think it shows that they're pretty close. I do think a lot of it comes down to when they get into the decision-making process, you got to win the game at Arkansas.
You to have this season be anything close to what last season was, you cannot lose to Arkansas.
Who gives you the best chance to win at Arkansas? I still think that's Ben Bryant, but Evan Prater has given the staff plenty to think about. And that's in a position battle. Isn't that all you can ask for? Is that one guy pushes the other guy? to the extent of we got a tough decision to make. We got a tough call. We got to do something that's hard. It's like going to Lubbock.
Doesn't get old.
I got to try to work it in at least
Doesn't get old.
a couple times a week. Times a week.
So I don't know. I mean, I was certainly encouraged that you have two quarterbacks that are playing, honestly, from the layman's eye, as good as one another. Now, when they break down film and all of that, I'm sure as coaches they're going to see some things that we, as media people, or even as the fans who were there today as friends and family, or even yesterday, they're going to see more than what the traditional fans saw. So.
Yes.
But there was also a running back battle throughout all of camp.
That's more cloudy than the quarterback battle.
When you're talking about not one, not two, but four dudes, as mentioned by Luke Fickell.
That's why I asked him in that interview. Because, look, I've talked about this a lot on the basketball side. Why isn't this guy playing more? Why isn't that guy playing more? Why are we seeing this and not that? So much of it comes down to trust, right? Mm-hmm. And I told you guys 3 weeks ago, he's not telling us until September 3rd. He's not. They're not telling us who they picked to be the starting quarterback.
I wasn't throwing that up to be a talking point. It's just
no. I'm just commenting.
YouTube,
yeah,
for YouTube to see the Twitch comments and vice versa.
Yeah, I'm just commenting on that. He's not. I told you guys from the start, he ain't telling us. That's why I'm like, I know you're not telling us. He's like, I don't tell you anything. I'm like, well, that's kind of a lie, but other than yelling at me for your alleged yawn, yeah, whatever. Running back, you have to earn the trust. Ryan Montgomery and Charles McClellan have been here forever. Those guys have earned the trust that they're going to make the right decision in picking up a blitz. The trust that they're going to make, the play on a screen or a screen to the outside that is going to be right on that line of scrimmage to where maybe it's a fumble if you don't catch it. You can rely and count on them. They've earned the trust of the staff. This camp was going to be about Miles Montgomery and Corey Kiner earning that trust. And I think they've both done it. So now the question comes down to, let's find the best guy talent-wise for the job, because we're now in a place where we feel like we have that level of trust in all four of those guys.
I think the most encouraging thing as well, obviously you hope nobody has an injury this season, but over the course of the last several seasons, you've seen Jared Dokes go down. You've seen
running backs get hurt, man.
Yeah. So that said, I think it's encouraging that you have four guys that all bring something different to the table, but four guys that all potentially at this point could be starters on this team.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that Miles Montgomery and Corey Kiner are the two most
bell cow ready
by the definition of like an every down back. Those are the two guys with the talent that matches that terminology the most. But that's not to say that Ryan Montgomery and Charles McClellan couldn't be every down backs. The thing you wonder, or you think about with those two, are they the type that you can like pound on a defense and wear a defense out, right?
Sure.
I think Miles and Kiner have those. Not only do they have the ability to hit a home run, but they have the ability to hit singles like constantly and just chip and chip and chip away at you. There's a role for all four. Today, Miles Montgomery got the first reps. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
It's not any like guarantee or indication of what we're going to see 2 weeks from now, but at least it was something that like should be jotted down in the notebook. The first team offense ran out when I did my, if you go look at the practice report from today, that was what I saw. First snap for the offense, first snap for the defense with the ones and twos. And Miles Montgomery was the first snap with the ones. And that raises an eyebrow. How are we, Steven?
It's my favorite part of every Monday.
Don't hurt his feelings. What if he watches?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
He's a busy guy on the weekends. He does not stay in many weekend evenings.
No. All right, what else you got? You're in the driver's seat. You're driving. I'm riding.
That's fine.
Turn the camera on.
Luke didn't get to it, but I don't think he said anything about it. But we also saw a battle at wide receiver throughout this camp. And you saw Jaden Thompson, and you saw Nick Mardner, and you saw Chris Scott, all kind of rotating in at that one spot. Did anybody, by your opinion, really separate themselves this entire camp in that regard for that?
I wrote about this a little today in the observations. I think it's really close. Like, if we're like handicapping it, I think Jaden Thompson is going to get that initial nod. Because I think he's been the most, he's shown the most consistent improvement and has as high a ceiling as any of the guys in that room, right? Like, remember, Jaden Thompson was a 4-star. And there's a reason he was a 4-star. He's got good hands. He's long. He's running much more crisp and consistent routes. Chris Scott is Mr. Consistent. He's the best blocker of the bunch for when plays are on the outside and working down the field. He probably has the best hands in that room. He's not the flashiest guy, right? But you know exactly what you're going to get out of Chris Scott. It's kind of funny because I think the reason that I would go right now with Jaden Thompson is because he has some of those splashier, like, big play abilities. But what he has shown more than anything is his ability to close the distance on Chris Scott for what Chris Scott does better than anybody else in that room. You know, block, catch. Things that are, pretty important for a wide receiver.
Well, I know you bring up
Mardner's the shiny new toy. Here's my concern with Mardner.
Well, before you get to that, I also was going to say, you did say Jaden Thompson was a 4-star for a reason. I think you could also make the argument that Nick Mardner was a preseason awards finalist for a reason.
Mardner has the most big play ability.
He has the tangibles, right?
But he also has been the least consistent. Like, there have been some drops in there. There have been some, like, gotta be a little better. Like, okay, great. You can go up and make a contested catch down the sideline over a stud 6'3" freshman corner. But, you're sitting down in the middle of a zone and you get an easy pass and it goes right through your hands. Like, what's that say? That says, okay, we need Chris Scott in there for those plays, those routes, right?
Yeah.
We need Jaden Thompson in there for those routes. So what Mardner has to be careful of, because of the competition for snaps at that spot is that you have to prove you can be we go back to trust. You have to be proven that you can be trusted on the entire route tree, and not just I'm a guy that goes out there and wins jump balls.
Yeah, what separated Alec Pierce from
right
a ton of people who had those physical traits that he possessed as well in the draft was the fact that he could run the whole tree.
Right. And Marner can run the whole tree. He's good at those routes. He's getting open on those routes. But then there's, one or two times a day where he drops one of those easy routes that's like, Chris would have made that play. Jaden would have made that play. And that can pigeonhole you, right? That can, in the trust tree, make coaches think we can count on him for this, but we're not sure we can count on him for that. So he's got to shore that up in practice. That's just, just being honest with you guys about what I've seen. The beauty is they were worried when Alec Pierce left. What are we going to do at the boundary wide receiver position? Now they have 3 guys that are all really good. Are they as good as Alec Pierce? No. And potentially not yet. Like, potentially they could elevate themselves to that level. But each of them brings a little bit something different to the table. And there hasn't been a ton of separation between the 3. So I think you'll see a lot of rotation between those 3 guys, depending on what the offense is looking to do, not only series to series, but play to play.
Yeah, and I bring that up as Trey Tucker was the one actually asked about the wide receivers, his fellow wide receivers. So there was something with the interviews where that question came from. Getting back to Luke, one of the other questions that kind of stood out to me was about captains and how it really wasn't important. It was something that they would do, but it wasn't something that's really like at the top of his list of things that need to get done right away. We need to have captains.
Right.
Now, do you think that's because he has so many guys standing up in these different rooms as natural leaders?
I think it's because there's not a clear Dez and Kobe yet. Like, even if you go back to last year with all those guys, the only 2 weekly captains were Dez and Kobe. And those were 2 guys that they had just earned it over a long, long period of time. I think more than anything, he likes to use that as motivation through the season.
That makes sense, especially as you have such a transition of 30 seniors leaving, 9 of which would get drafted, and I think 11 ended up on teams.
So you can, they're not set yet. NFL rosters aren't set.
No, but I mean through
in camp,
camps, yeah.
I think it's a way to reward guys as this team builds and progresses. You may think you know who your leaders are. Who's going to step up in the locker room in a game that you're losing 17-14 at halftime that you should be winning? Right? Remember we always heard about Dez was that guy that was going to stand up in front of the team and say, this is bullshit. We're not playing as well as we need to play. Let's get it together.
And
or I'm not done yet. Almost. Or remember the beginning of the Houston game when the defense was struggling and Kobe Bryant pulled that whole defense together over on the sideline and said, we're not going out like this. Right. We're not getting here and falling short. And what happened the rest of that game? The defense was incredible. Who are those guys? They knew last year that Dez and Kobe were those guys. So that's why you can make them your captains going into the season. Maybe somebody we don't expect is the guy that stands up in the locker room at halftime of that game and says, let's get our shit together. Well, guess what? Now you've found a captain, if you will.
I'm the captain now.
I'm the captain now. Like, that's why I think he wants to be flexible with that, because I don't think there are Wilson Huber and Jabari Taylor and Josh Wiley, and there are Trey Tucker. There are plenty of guys that we feel like are going to be leaders. Being a leader doesn't necessarily make you the captain.
Well, and I think you've seen some of that with Luke's found motivational tools before in things as simple as wearing the number 1. And I know there was a rumor around spring practices that somebody on defense may be getting the number 1, and never came to fruition. So never came to light. That said, I wonder if that's something that may be still on the table further down the road, or if that's, I mean, obviously you find motivation where you can, especially in the collegiate ranks. So I don't, it doesn't surprise me that he's not in any hurry to announce team captains.
Yeah, it's something that he like. It's one of those, like a draw 4 that you hold in your Uno hand till you're late in the game. You're not playing it when you got like this many cards, but when you got this many cards, maybe now all of a sudden, all right, now it's time for that draw 4. I don't know why I just made a terrible Uno reference, but
I mean, I think we all saw where you're going with it. So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of corny, but I think it was effective.
As long as it got the job done. Fine. It's not how you start. It's how you finish.
I haven't played Uno in like 3 years.
Yeah, well, if you're around kids that are single-digit ages, you play some Uno.
I know.
I'm telling you what. Wilson Huber, he follows up Luke Fickell. I mean, was there anything else that stood out to you in the Luke Fickell interview? I guess
it was pretty, a pretty standard back and forth.
Coach
I thought
talk.
Between Luke and the media. He's not giving away a whole lot right now.
Nor should he. He's in a position right now of having the upper hand, because you kind of know what you have in Arkansas. You have a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
They don't know necessarily which quarterback with 2 very different trait sets, which quarterback's going to get the nod. And without giving any type of indication, you keep the upper hand.
Yeah. Will, I mean, trained soldier, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so I guess, I mean, Will kind of, and I don't recall if somebody steered him in this direction or if he did it of his own volition, but Dante Corleone definitely stood out as somebody who has been a dude through camp, and we've talked about it here really over the last 10 days.
Yeah, it really started to like show out like 4 or 5 days into higher ground that like he's a problem. He's causing major problems along the line of scrimmage, regardless of, the defensive line is always different because they want to be able to rotate 6, 7 guys in with the ones. And as you know, when I talked to Walt Stewart, we talked about like, you can't just know what you're like. It's the one spot where you can't just know what your second unit is going to do against the 2s. You have to know what those guys are able to do against the 1s. And that's how they kind of rotate. They rotate 4, 5, 6 snaps with the 1s, and then the 2s roll in. And then when the 2s come out, those guys are back out there with the 2s. And when they were given those chances against the 1s, it continued to be Dante. Like, can't move him. Can't do with him. Like, can't get him out. Can't chip him. Can't double him. He's not going anywhere. If we want to run up the middle when this dude is in the game, it is a problem. And that's, again, how you build that trust, right? That trust from Dante Corleone built rapidly over the first 4 or 5 days and then carried on throughout camp.
Well, and you love to hear that for a guy who's apparently such a team
freshman.
Well, such a team guy too. That the team adores him from the sound of it, and they love to see a guy who, is cutting it up with people, getting along, making them laugh, and being. How many times have you seen Dante Corleone smile? And he's just got that big, huge smile that you can't help but smile yourself looking at this dude's smile.
I mean, last year they run the steps every year. It's one of the last things they do.
Yeah.
Before they go to higher ground.
I remember this story.
And last year he got like a quarter of the way through and was up on the top, just like laid out. Like they were going to, chalk him because he just couldn't go anymore. And I just remember it from this year. Like Cook was back. Brian Cook was back for that day. And he was the entire time, man, he was right there with Dante. Like he had such a investment in Dante completing the task. And at that time, I think he was all the way down to like 310, 315, which, I mean, that's a significant
drop from where he was.
Mm-hmm. And that improvement allowed him to complete the steps. Like, I don't know how many times they go up and down. It's 10, 15, something. If you've ever gone all the way from the bottom to the top, one is a lot.
It's a lot.
One is a lot. And they're that invested in that kid, just because of how likable he is, how good of a kid he is, how much his teammates enjoy, being around him.
Yeah.
And
we've had
see what he's done in camp. Everybody has been so stoked to be like, oh, we got a new toy.
Well, and we've heard Brady talk about his offseason and how he's performed in the weight room. And I think that's a testament, again, to Brady and his staff, that you have a guy who loses that much weight and somehow becomes that much more immovable
object.
That is not a fun word to say, I've decided.
No. And guess what? I know Brent might be worried, like, why are you guys doing the post camp podcast without me? We might have something for Monday night. We might have something for Monday night. Speaking of Brady Collins.
Mr. Brady Collins.
We might have something for Monday night. I think everybody would like to hear Brady Collins' thoughts on Camp Higher Ground.
I like to hear, though, that Will Huber is planning on rewarding those in front of him. I don't recall if Will Huber had one of the late round stakes as far as having one of the best and being up for.
I think he was up there, wasn't he?
I think he was, or at least he was. I know he was definitely in the video.
Yeah.
So that makes me believe that his might have been one of the better stakes, or at least maybe he was one of the people that wasn't afraid to put his neck out there.
Right.
In any case, he did mention that he wanted to get some stakes for those guys that were up in front of him, because the guys on the defensive line have continuously made the linebackers look great.
Specifically Jawan Briggs and Dante Corleone.
Okay.
Because they are the ones that are
right in the middle,
right in front of Huber.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's being able to do in terms of finding open space is directly impacted by the fact that those guys just move bodies.
So what kind of cut do you think he's getting guys like Jawan Briggs and Dante Corleone?
So they're not eating fillets.
No, it's too small. You'd have to get a big ass fillet to get them fillets.
You have to get like a beef tender, like a whole tenderloin, which is just, like 8 cuts of filet.
Go to Costco and get you the tube of filet.
I would think like guys like that have to be ribeye guys, right? Like you can get ribeyes Dante Corleone's a tomahawk ribeye guy, right?
Yeah, you're not getting him like a sirloin's
a petite strip.
Sirloin's out the window. Just a whole flank steak, right?
I think though, like a bone-in ribeye or a tomahawk ribeye. Briggs, who knows? Right? Briggs could be like I want a bone-in fillet.
It's like I'll take the Wagyu.
I'll take the bone-in Wagyu, please, sir. Good day.
He sings it to you, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to do that.
No,
I
you
thought
shouldn't.
about it. It crossed my mind.
Nope. Leave that
I'm not
one.
going to do it.
Leave that one there.
Haven't had enough of these yet.
Fair enough. But yeah, I don't know. Just it's again, that's Will Huber elevating himself as a leader and like recognizing I'm not doing this on my own.
Yeah.
These guys are doing their jobs at this high level that's allowing me to continue to do my job at a higher level than maybe even I anticipated being able to do my job. So
Correct.
I don't know. It's just another Will Huber being humble as he's always shown.
Yeah, I mean, just a great kid. And talking to his dad's amazing. Like, you can tell this program just means so much to that family. And I'm sure for his dad, I've gotten to know his dad pretty well. Maybe his dad's a good PTP candidate, like
Greg Pierce was.
Like Greg Pierce was last year. But I think there'd be even more to talk about with Huber.
Well, yeah, because he
lived it. Right? Yeah, he lived it. Like, and he was a really good player here. Like,
yeah,
he got to experience this thing as it was rising from the ashes.
His dad's Kevin, right?
No.
I'm not a comedian. Anything else from Will Huber that stood out to you? Those were the big things that stood out to me.
I think those are the big things. And with Trey, like, I even joked with Trey right before I turned the camera on. I said, I just talked to you.
Sounds about right.
Just talk to you. Like, we just had you on.
So the biggest thing in Trey's interview that stood out to me was him taking a moment to himself, as he believes this is probably going to be his last moments at Camp Higher Ground. And I ask you, how many guys do you think also did that? Like, to where even if they didn't know, like, maybe I am, maybe I'm not, who knows what this year brings for me, and like, do you think they actually took that time to just genuflect and just take it all in for what Camp Higher Ground is?
What's one of the things we've learned through this Camp Higher Ground? Trey Tucker and Tyler Scott are different. Right? These are old, like old souls, both of them, that do things like, hey man, maybe this is my last time here. Maybe I need to like take in the warm higher ground air.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell like this in Cincinnati. Like most football players, that's not something that they're.
Clifton does not smell like West Harrison.
But that's not something that, like, for most guys, especially out there, man, you're just trying to get through it. Like, you're just trying to, like, okay.
Yeah, there's certainly some meatheads on that team.
It's not meatheads. It's like, that's normal, man. You're just.
There's some meatheads.
Yeah, sure. But, like, even aside from that, trust me, I don't live out there every day. There is an element that is like, you're Xing the 3, 2 days left, 1 day left. Tomorrow's
out of here.
Just okay, like, yeah. Trey is one of those introspective, like, always thinking big picture, always thinking about like life and like his place. He's a guy that is going to take that time. That's why I asked him the question, because I knew he would be a guy that would be like, yeah, like, I thought about it last night. Like, Josh, I asked Josh, like, I did an interview with Josh that's going to run Friday night on 15:30.
Is that the one where you guys were sitting in the middle of the field?
Sitting in the middle of the field. I said, let's have a sit down. We're not going to do it on video. This is an audio interview. It's going to run on radio. Let's have a sit down. And he just plopped down on like the 40-yard line and was like, all right, let's sit here. And I was like, well, I was talking about one of the benches.
You were wanting the shade. Yeah, you were wanting the shade of the picnic awning.
Well, it was a gorgeous day. Like, the shade wasn't real. The shade, the bench is what's important here. Like a bench with a back, And Josh is just like, we'll sit down right here. And then
Like
afterwards, he's like, you want me to help you up? I'm like, fuck you. Get up.
He was sitting on that joke the whole time.
Oh, yeah. That's the whole reason we sat down.
From the moment he sat down, he was waiting to unload that on you.
So I rolled over like a beach whale and lifted myself up. Like, I don't want your help.
Oh, that's great.
But like Josh was like, I haven't even, like, the talk was like about being a senior, and he's like, it hasn't even really processed yet. Like, I'm just working, trying to get better. Trey's the guy that, he'll stop and smell the roses, if you will.
Or even if you want, or the scented candles.
He lives with Tyler. He doesn't have much of a choice.
I don't for Trey. He's such a as we're not in the locker room, and you know Trey better than the fans, myself included.
That's my guy.
No Trey, but he seems like such a quiet, nose down. I'm going to do my job. You will see me as a leader as opposed to the vocal leader. Do you think that any of that has changed, or am I just completely misconceiving?
No, I think he's becoming more vocal. I think, and I talked to this with Trey in the interview we did a couple days ago. This is who he's been since he got here, right? Like, the only thing that's changed now is you're not going to be the vocal guy as a true freshman or a redshirt freshman that like hasn't proven anything yet. But you can be a leader that puts your head down, works, gets in the weight room, does everything that the strength and conditioning staff has asked of you, sets incredibly high standards for yourself, and then meets those standards. Like, it's one thing to say, like, I have goals. But then if you don't ever meet any of those goals, they don't really matter, right? Like, you're just talking to talk. Trey has always been, I'm going to run a 4.29. I'm going to squat 600 pounds. Like, I'm going to get in here every day.
It's the craziest thing to witness as well, to see
somebody, him and Tyler's.
Somebody shorter than me. I'm not tall.
Right.
But someone shorter than me with that massive amount of weight.
The bar bending like this.
Absurd. Absolutely absurd.
So I think your perception is right in that he had to kind of not really fully be who he is initially, but he's grown more and more and more into that, like, okay, now I'm not just the lead by example. Now I can also add my voice into all the things that I've already proven for 3 years that this is what I'm about. Now I'm also about these other things that I can add to the leadership's void that you lost with Dez and, some of those guys.
So that kind of segues me into my next question, which isn't necessarily a Trey Tucker question, but it kind of is. Going back to Luke Fickell being asked about captains, do you think that there's a reason that Will Huber and Trey Tucker were the two interviews in the close of camp that were selected to be presented to the media?
No, not specifically. I think they just both had good days, and they're guys that are pretty easy to put in front of the media.
So if you were a betting guy, you wouldn't bet on those two being your captains necessarily?
I wouldn't bet on anybody because I don't know, like, what the strategy for that is for Arkansas, right? Like,
the guy who doesn't like to put his crystal balls on the table. Makes sense.
I mean, maybe it's the guy that wins the starting quarterback, and like we were also supposed to get Jawan Briggs after practice, but I think he was, getting the ice bath and going through a family there.
He was tired. He benched an entire offensive line for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks. So he hadn't come back out of the locker room in time. And I think, everybody else was just kind of like wrapping up and done with everything that they were doing. So there was supposed to be a third guy in the mix. And maybe Jawan Briggs is the captain. Like, I just don't think there's a clear, like, these are the 2-3 guys that every week are going to walk out, because that's what naming captains ultimately is, right?
Guys that walk out.
Who are the guys that are going out for the coin toss before the game? I think there's 5. I mean, I think Jabari is definitely one of the options there. Your starting quarterback is definitely one of the options there.
So you're saying it's the let it fly characters, if you will. All the guys who've
pay attention to the people they're putting in front of the camera. Josh Wiley, absolutely a candidate to be a captain. Like
Renfro.
Go back and look at last year. Who were the guys they put in front of the camera on Let It Fly?
There is that. Malik.
It's not a, like, there's a reason that those are the people that are front facing in the program. Like, it's not accident.
Outside of that, I don't know that anything else really stood out to me with Trey. Maybe it did to you.
No, like I said, like, we got most of that stuff out of him a couple of days ago, and I've already talked about it here.
Let's see if there's any questions here that we haven't addressed. How did Miles do in the passing game from a receiving standpoint? That's not anything that we've talked. I was gonna say I don't know that I know we've talked about him being the complete back, but I don't know that we necessarily addressed his hands.
He's been good. The only problem I've seen with him is there was looked like an awkward pitch in the scrimmage last Saturday at Nippert, where I think it was Evan. I think they might have just been too close, and they went for a toss outside, and it got scooped and scored.
Ty Van Fossen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's really the only miscue I've seen from him in that setting. But
who's to say who that one's on, right?
Yeah, like, I don't know. I didn't review the tape.
I remembered something from Trey that did stand out, actually.
Okay.
And it's because I was beating this drum last season. I said last season when we were doing BBPs that Trey Tucker, they needed to design more plays where Trey Tucker got his hands on the ball, whether it was an end around, whether it was a bubble screen, whatever the case may be. And he did mention that there's a lot of new wrinkles in the playbook and that you're going to see some new things that maybe you hadn't seen with last year's OC.
There's been more stuff to the outside. I think that's what kind of people wanted to see, right? Like,
sure.
There's still going to be a lot of inside zone. That's when you're single back out of the shotgun. You
run north and south.
Yeah, but I think with as much as they're looking at 12 personnel,
do some as much off tackle and power and
because you're going to have some further assistants out there to kind of help lead the way. I think with the way that Coach Cummings runs his run scheme, I think there's some additional opportunities that we've seen that allow for, we've seen, I don't know why. I think I used to love the bubble screen, because my memory of the bubble screen was throw the bubble screen to Marty, watch Cincinnati score a touchdown.
My memory of the bubble screen is it was one of the best damn plays that you could select on NCAA football 14.
Run the bubble screen, throw it to Marty, score a touchdown. Like, that was money. We'll ask Tony about that Wednesday night. Like, was that just one of those, like, had it in your back pocket? Like, all right, let's break it out.
It's time. We have to get this first down. We
need this touchdown right here. Let's run bubble screen to Marty. Somebody ankle tackled him on a touchdown run in the kick return. So let's go ahead and let him finish it off.
This is his 6.
Yeah, and then after that, nobody's been able to run a good bubble screen here since.
And some of that could be just scheme. Some of that could be
the game. That became one of those. Well, and Marty was special. Marty had an ability with the ball in his hands in the open field to do things that we've probably never seen anybody here at Cincinnati do.
He drew that power from his puka shells.
you don't return the number of kicks for touchdowns that Marty did or big, like massive game-changing gains if you're not able to like see the open field differently than everybody sees the open field. I think with guys like, potentially Trey and Tyler, and even a Will Pauling that could run those little underneath tight things and make people miss in space. I think that's an interesting option you could see in this offense. More toss sweeps, more stuff outside the tackles. I think those are potentially things that we're going to see more of in this offense than, run between center and guard. Now, I will also say at center and guard, if you're Gavin Gerhardt, Jake Renfro, Dylan O'Quinn, there's a reason you might want to run in between center and guard a little bit more frequently, because those guys are all big, physical, 300-pound road graders. So the offense is going to be interesting. Like it's going to be fun to see how it evolves with Geno year one.
I'm curious if part of the reasoning for moving Dio to guard, going with potentially Gavin Gerhardt over Coop, is if those guys can potentially pull better than.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things. Yeah, that's one of those things that are definitely. It's definitely in
the evaluation,
the list of things that I mean, I think it's been known for a long time. Dio is a really good right tackle last year. Dio, I mean Dylan O'Quinn. That's Ray calls him Dio, so it's kind of in my brain. He's Dio. He was a really good right tackle, but he's a better right guard. And that's how you want to use them. You're like you ideally want to use all your best guys at their best positions, and that's where I think is probably the best position for Dio. What else you got? I'm gonna go grab a beverage.
Okay. Steven Chenault says, "Holy shit! UC's fall classes begin Monday. I know football coverage is popping off, but it is about to be basketball practice season again. I assume those kids will be back on campus shortly." I know that Chad's screaming yes from getting his beverage. I know it was move-in weekend actually here for OU as well this weekend. So that meant like going to any restaurant this morning for breakfast was a huge giant pain in the ass, especially lugging around a baby carrier, just saying. Chad did scream yes. The kids will be back on campus shortly. So there should be plenty of little birdies here very, very soon coming from the UC men's basketball practice facility.
I mean, so what'll happen for basketball? Those guys will be back this week. I was Wednesday when we did the locker room tour. The girls here wanted steak hoagies from Mio's because Mio's has incredible steak hoagies. So I was at Mio's waiting for the steak hoagies and sitting outside talking to some of the folks that work at Mio's that I know, and Jared Hensley just cruising by. Stopped, chatted for a little bit about the trip to Spain and how awesome that was, and he was getting an individual workout in over on the track. So just casually from his apartment over to the track, getting a run in, and then walking back to the dorms, but said that everything picks back up. They'll report, everybody will be back on campus this week. And then I think next week they'll start getting back into, being in the Monster Factory and getting a couple hours on the court with the coaches.
I love seeing the little snippets that Rayfelt has been dropping about just leaving his marks on the Monster Factory and the things that he's been doing to not even necessarily upgrade, but just to put Monster Factory on the weights.
Yeah, on the weights.
Just remind these guys, like, hey, you're in my world now, Grandpa.
Yeah. we live here. Beat never stops. No, I mean, think about it, Steven. The season ends.
I can't catch up on time codes because things have been crazy.
The basketball season ends in March. What happens in April? I hit the road for AAU. And that carries over all the way through May. And then spring practice is right in that window as the season is ending, end of March into April. So that's spring football and AAU. And then June is high school camp season on campus at UC. And then July is back on the road for AAU. And then August, higher ground. And then the season starts back in September. Like it is because we put in the work. This is a beat that never stops. Sure, you could take the summer off, and there's plenty of people that take the summer off on this beat. We don't do that. We do podcasts multiple times a week. We're out on the road. We're out on campus. Like this is who we are.
I don't recall seeing this name in our chat before. So
Chugs is the best.
Are most national media members sleeping on the new talent, stepping up to fill the gaps left by last year's departures? I'm excited to see what happens as the program builds even further. I mean, what I know of, as I've looked at the national media, I'm reading everything that people are putting out there. I think it's the fact that unless you were on the beat and dialed in, you don't know these names. And so I don't think it's that they're sleeping on the talent. I think it's just it's unknown to people outside of the beat.
For the most part, I agree with that. What I will say is this is the first real
transition
spot in the Luke Fickell era transition. Like, remember when the season ended, we talked about this with him in the spring. Do you see this as a new chapter, or do you see this as a new book? He didn't see this as a new chapter. Book one was those first 5 years, and that book is closed. This is a new book. And I think it's fair that the media sees it like that. I know fans get in their feelings about that, but I think it's part of the process, right? Like Dabo had to go through this at Clemson. Like this is what you go through when you're building something that isn't the norm for the level that you're at. Now, the national media is saying, look, you're ranked. We left you in the rankings. We're showing your guys some love. But before we just start placing you at the head of the class every year, you have to show us that you can lose the best quarterback in program history, the most dominant player in program history, so many pieces from the best team in program history. You have to show us now that you can do that and go back out there and stay relevant and stay in, again, top 10 team, top 10 program. This is
where you prove it.
The start of proving we are not just a top 10 team. I think it's fair for the media to say, yeah, Jaheim Thomas looks great. We haven't seen Jaheim Thomas do it.
Who's he?
Wilson Huber looks great, but Wilson Huber and Jaheim Thomas are replacing Darian Beavers and Joel DeBlanco. Let's see it.
Yeah.
Who do you have in the pipeline that replaces Ahmad Gardner?
JQ's a freshman. He's not it.
Right. Like he might be. Like those people have hit me up. A lot of people hit me up about JQ.
That's not my opinion. I'm just saying, as a national media head, you don't know who JQ Hardaway. He's a freshman. He's not.
No, they're aware. Like here's the thing: they're aware of JQ Hardaway because they've been asking me about JQ Hardaway. But
they don't know.
Right, Jake. Well, none of us do.
Right.
We'll see. So I think it's fair. I think it's fair that they say, we expect you to be good again. We don't know if you're going to be great again.
I agree 100%. Bearcats won. I think you could argue this season is more important for the program's national reputation than last year.
I think this is going to be over these next 2 weeks a major talking point that we discuss.
You have
heading
to,
into
right?
This Arkansas game. I think it's maybe the like outside of quarterback, how they do at Arkansas is critical. Because let's be honest, we don't think this is going to happen, but football's a weird game. If they go in and lose by 17 points at Arkansas, Arkansas gets out to a 2-touchdown lead or a 10-point lead early, controls the game. Cincinnati's never really seen as like in position to win the game. The national perception is going to be what? They had their shot. They had their 2-year window. They didn't capitalize on their 2-year window. And now they're back to the back of the pack.
They couldn't beat Georgia. They couldn't beat Alabama. They couldn't beat Arkansas. They beat Notre Dame. That was it.
Right. And guess what? You think what we're hearing from the Arkansas fans is ridiculous now? Wait to see what happens if they lose to Arkansas. There's going to be a shadow of, or if they lose if it's a 27-24 game that goes back and forth the entire day, I don't think you're going to lose a lot of like disrespect at that point.
I feel like Arkansas's fans outnumber UC fans like 4-1.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
It's a SEC program with like a long
storied history.
I don't know about storied, but a long history nonetheless.
There's certainly some stories.
There's stories, right? There's lots of stories. I'll give you that one.
But I don't know.
That's a prominent question that we're going to be speaking about a lot over the next 2 weeks, is how important this game is for the image of what Luke Fickell has built. You go in, you come off of 2 undefeated regular seasons. You should have beat Georgia. You were right there with Alabama in a lot of ways. Like, they didn't just blow you out of the water. And you go in and beat Arkansas to open the season. All of a sudden, everybody's going to be like, look, Luke Fickell ain't fucking around. Right? Like,
yeah.
Luke Fickell ain't, like, he's got something serious built at Cincinnati. But on the other hand, perception is perception. And if Arkansas has their way with you and you don't play well, the narrative changes in a snap. I don't want to say a lot of the good would be undone, but you then have to continue to overcome the narrative that Cincinnati wouldn't compete in the SEC. Cincinnati wouldn't do this. Cincinnati wouldn't do that. Like, there's a lot on the line.
Does it also become a vision of what Cincinnati could or potentially could not be in the Big 12? Like,
nobody's talking about that until they're in the Big 12, Aaron.
I'm just saying, like, is this going to be?
I'm just telling you.
Is this going to be a black eye if they lose to Arkansas? Is this going to be a black eye going into the Big 12 that they have not been able to compete with the big dogs? So here we go into the Big 12, and is that going to scare recruits off because they can't do it against Georgia? They can't do it against Alabama. I would imagine that other coaches would be using those as talking points if they lose to, especially if you're going against a recruit against an SEC team, that they can't beat Georgia, they can't beat Alabama, they can't beat Arkansas. Arkansas. That's not Georgia or Alabama. That's Arkansas.
Especially the SEC team that they compete against regularly that negative recruits at a national level.
Don't know who you're talking about, Kentucky.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you think Vince Morrow isn't going to use that?
I'm sure he's already used it.
Right. And now if you don't beat Arkansas, that drum's going to be beaten 1,000 times harder. Why wouldn't you just come here and compete in the SEC with a team that competes in the SEC every week?
Yeah.
Like it or not, like, these are the realities of the conversation.
No.
Such a great question, Bearcat. Great question.
I hadn't even gone all the way down that rabbit hole into the speaking points that I just brought up until now. So, I mean, yeah, it's fascinating. Excellent response. Was also going to ask about the importance of not getting embarrassed at Arkansas, so much on the line for the program's credibility. Our sentiments exactly.
Yeah. You got to go in there and win, lose, or draw, show that you're every bit as good as them. Because guess what? They've got maybe a top 5 schedule in the country. There's no guarantee that Arkansas is going to be 9-3, 10-2. It's much more likely they're 7-6, 8-5, even with the improvements that Sam Pittman has made to that program. And if you go in there and look bad against an SEC team that eventually ends up, one win over bowl qualification,
500 rank.
Yeah, like they just make a bowl. Like the narrative is not going to be what Cincinnati fans want to hear.
No, it'll be what everybody's been saying for the last 2 years,
and louder,
for sure. While we kind of take a break here, things are dwindling down a little bit, but people still keep coming into the room. So if you do have questions, drop them in the chat right now as we're kind of hitting that stride of the show where questions are going to keep us afloat. Outside of that, if you are
how long we go on these things.
Outside of that, if you are not yet subscribed to the Bearcat Journal YouTube or Twitch channels that you're currently watching on, please go ahead and subscribe to those channels. Just not asking for the donation or anything like that. Just simply hit the subscribe button just to help us out. So,
or if you want to be a member on Twitch, because now we're affiliated on Twitch, and you've got Amazon Prime,
free membership.
Using you can connect your Amazon Prime to your Twitch, and you can support us for free. If you're here on YouTube, and that sounds like something you would like to do, and you don't have a Twitch account, go start a Twitch account, connect your Amazon Prime, and throw us that free Amazon Prime subscription. You can do that every month, and you will be supporting Bearcat Journal for free, financially for free, on something you don't have to spend a penny on other than what you're already spending. Who isn't a member of Amazon Prime at this point?
Me.
Really?
I live with somebody
who is.
Right.
Right. There's an Amazon Prime sub in your house.
Drop mine real quick.
Best meal of camp.
Good to see you, by the way, T-Win.
So here's the thing with camp. We don't get dinner. Dinner, like their dinners, they have steak nights. They have nights where they smoke 100 pounds of ribs.
I want to try the chicken wings.
They have nights where they do chicken wings.
Those are like the snacks, though, right? Like the after dinner snacks are the chicken wings, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's one of their so they'll do dinner and then they have a walkthrough, and then after the walkthrough they'll do team stuff, and then they have a snack. Like they'll cook 100 pounds of chicken wings for the snack. We've done the Monterey Ranch chicken sandwich is the best meal of camp for lunch, and that's generally what we're getting.
I don't think we've talked about the Bearcat bars yet.
Oh, the Bearcat bars are so delicious
this season. So if you want to drop what the Bearcat bars are,
I don't even know the full. It's like a cookie mixed with a chocolate chip cookie mixed with a brownie. They're like this and like that, like
it's almost like a Rice Krispie treat, but like solid.
No, because they have.
The size.
The size
of a Rice Krispie treat, but a Rice Krispie treat is like airy because you have Rice Krispies and marshmallow. And the Rice Krispies are like full of air, whereas a Bearcat bar is like the same size, but it's just solid.
You feel full after you eat a Bearcat bar, even if you didn't eat lunch. The lasagna is usually good. The chicken fingers and the chicken nuggets are outstanding.
When they have both at the same time, that's a winning day.
Yeah. I love they make just sheets of like chocolate chip cookies. So they're like, rectangles. They don't look like chocolate chip cookies because they're just one solid sheet. But those things are delicious. And then they have these, like it's a hybrid. It's like a peanut butter Rice Krispie treat. And those things are outstanding too. And then at dinner also, Aaron, what we don't get at lunch that they get at dinner. They have just tables set out full of desserts, cake, like chocolate cake, vanilla cake, marble cake.
You know what we never take advantage of when we are there for lunch, though? The milkshake bar.
Yeah, that's they don't do that all the time. That's another one of those things that at dinner they do far more frequently.
Yeah.
But there is a like a smoothie milkshake bar over by the there's also a section with fresh lunch meats to make sandwiches if you'd like.
I don't think they had the milkshake bar set up the day I was there. But I'll tell you what, my absolute favorite thing that they have, and I can't rave about this enough, is the Gatorade on tap. It's the best Gatorade I've ever had in my life every single time.
So which kind did you do?
The lemon lime every time.
Okay. I do the fruit punch. My description of the Gatorade that's on tap at Higher Ground, it is just the right amount of too much sugar.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like heavy on the syrup, right? Because
right, it's just the right amount of too much sugar.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I always make sure whatever I have to drink for lunch before I leave, I get a cup of the fruit punch and hammer that back.
It's like McDonald's is with Coke, they are with Gatorade.
With on tap Gatorade, yeah. And well, this year they didn't the sweet tea, like they didn't have sweet tea really this year. And I usually go with sweet tea, so I had to mix it up a little bit more this year. What I didn't realize, Aaron, is there's where we sit, there's the vending machine. And then on the other side, there's another vending machine. They have the orange Gatorade on the other side.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and that's fire too.
Might be a game changer. Is Tyler McKinley still planning on visiting soon?
Yes, they're working on setting up a junior official visit for Tyler. My guess is it'll be a football game. We'll see.
That make the most sense. You guys haven't talked about Blue Smith in a while. I saw a Blue Smith sighting on a report today. Any word on how he is doing?
He's had a good camp. He's had a really solid camp. He's made some plays. He was running with the twos at field wide receiver.
He had a good spring too.
Yeah. So Blue is in an unfortunate situation right now where there's a bunch of other guys in the mix.
Well, I mean, it might be the best all-around, top-to-bottom wide receiver room he's been a part of at Cincinnati.
For sure, no question. It's the best wide receiver room at Cincinnati since you had Holton and Chris Moore and Mikhail McKay and Shaq Washington, Alex Chisholm. You know, it's the best room since then. So Blue's holding his own, but getting in the rotation, cracking the real rotation, and getting balls thrown your way, not easy right now.
Which
you doing that? You or me? You
which underclassman gave the best interview? Excellent question, Stephen.
As long as we count Gavin Gerhardt as an underclassman, then Gavin. He's a redshirt sophomore. I think that's an underclassman, right? Especially in O-line standards, where it takes a little bit longer to get on the field. His dad came up to me today, and he was like, Chad, the last time he was interviewed on camera, he was a senior in high school, and he had just won a bunch of awards at Xenia. So, like, the TV and the newspaper people all, like, wanted to talk to him. He said he was terrible. He was like, when you said the other day you were going to interview him and ask him these questions, I was like, oh no. And then the interview came out and he was awesome. Like, it was as good of a player interview as you're going to get in terms of being candid, being like open about what he's experiencing.
He was bleeding. It was badass.
Bleeding from the face.
Didn't even know it. Just like
no, he knew it. He knew it. He didn't care. Like, you want to clean that up before we go live? He's like,
no, I'll smear it, make it look even more awesome.
Paint. I'll go Royer on it. I don't think that's like, and there was some really good ones this year. Like that's always the fun for me. I think Sammy Anderson in time is going to be really good. I think it was his first one, so he was still a little hesitant, still a little like holding it back. Didn't want to say anything that his head coach would be like, "Shut up," right? That's for some of these guys. That's they're worried about that, which is fair.
Obviously, I mean that's why you don't see traditionally many freshmen thrown out there or anything like that. Like they want time to get them trained up on where they want them to be in interviews and what have you. I get it.
But Sammy's got a big smile. He's got an engaging personality. I think he's going to be really good at it as time goes along. But Gavin, for sure, Gavin.
Watching practice at Higher Ground, who's stronger, the O-line or D-line? Pound for pound or
Jawan Briggs and Dante Corleone? Because look, I didn't tell you what happened today.
No.
I might not be able to get out of bed tomorrow.
Oh, you get thrown in the ice tub?
No.
That's good, because landing on your laurels in the ice tub, even watching Luke do it, I can't imagine that felt good.
That was supposed to happen, but I think because it was family day, everybody got distracted. I got a feeling I might end up in the tub like this week at practice. Like that, Jake, and this is a story about Jake as well. Jake made it very clear. I'm throwing you in the ice tub.
You better start leaving your wallet in the car.
Oh, no. So like when they, they get done and they talk with Luke for a couple, I went over to my bag and fully emptied phone, wallet, heaters, lighter, keys.
Yeah, you don't
all
want
into my
key
bag.
fob going in there.
Yeah, just to make sure. But I think it was Miles Montgomery scored a touchdown on a like a red zone. They were at like the 5-yard line.
Yeah.
And I go down. I need your video here just to see your reaction in a second. I am like looking sideways because they're over at the drum. So I'm looking at the drum, kind of standing like this towards the drum and getting ready to write down Miles Montgomery touchdown. And I look up and Jake puts his shoulder right into me. Like he was blocking me as he was, how they jog back to the sideline.
He knows that you're not Juwan Briggs, right?
And
I'm sure you get it all the time, getting mistaken for Juwan Briggs, but he knows that you're not Juwan Briggs.
He saw the fear when I looked up and realized what was just about to happen, and he just gave me a little like one of these. And coming from Jake Renfro, a little one of these is a lot. It's a lot.
He gave you like a mama elephant nudge, like just
yeah. And I was like, oh. And then he just kind of looked back at me and was like, I got you. And I had, Renfro sweat all over the side of me from doing it.
That's what you don't want.
Yeah. He's really strong is what I'm getting at. He's really strong. And he even talks about Briggs and Corleone. Like, occasionally, I can't do anything with them.
Corleone sometimes can move with 2 people.
Right. What did Gerhard say? Like we will double team him, and occasionally we can move him with the double team.
Well, one thing that's been said repeatedly too is just that this defensive line compared to last year is more power rush and less finesse rush.
Yeah.
You don't have the traditional on the outside of maybe like dropping Jaheim down or whoever else they may drop down into that spot.
But even Jaheim's more power than Majay. Majay was trying to get around you. Like he had a full array of moves.
He wasn't ever bull rushing you.
He wasn't ever just trying to take you on, and he was so. He was better at that than we give him credit for.
It was the American Conference, not the SEC. Yeah. So against Alabama, he was not doing any of that. But against some of the American Conference.
But Malik, Jabari, Jawan, Corleone, Damo, Dominique Perry,
Eric Phillips.
That's a strong group. Strong group. I put it in my notes today. Like Jawan Briggs, strong. It's like my Cam Jr. note. My Cam Jr. note on the hit he had in the red zone today was just holy shit. Like he hadn't really made a splash this camp. He saved it for last.
All right. Who in the AAC wants to beat Cincy more before the leave for the Big 12? So I think that this would. I want to say that you can eliminate. I want to say you can eliminate Houston
and UCF, right? Like we're going together.
But if Houston, the only time that they see Cincinnati this year is for the championship.
Oh no, this is easy. It's Tulane. It's Tulane.
Reason being?
They feel like Cincinnati ducked them in 2020 and that they didn't get the chance to play Cincinnati at home to determine home field for the AAC championship game.
They think they ducked them with COVID?
With COVID, yeah. They honestly believe this, Aaron. All of their writers blocked me because I was like, are you kidding? Are you stupid? Like...
Oh my god!
It's Tulsa. Like they truly believe like they would have been.
You said Tulane.
I meant Tulsa.
You meant Tulsa.
Look, I mean,
you do this. You still do this.
Come on,
Tulsane.
Tulsane. It was Tulsa. Like they believe they should have won the 2020 American Athletic Conference Championship.
And I knew Tulsa writers blocked you, but you're talking about Tulane. I'm like, when did Tulane get fans and writers to block you?
Yeah, it's Tulsa.
Okay.
Yes, Lambig. I mean Tulsa. I have made that mistake 1,000 times.
And we'll make it 1,000 times. Well,
no, I won't.
No, you won't.
Because
you won't,
I'm not going to fucking talk about them ever again.
We don't play Memphis this year, right?
No.
If Memphis was on the schedule, I would think Memphis would really want.
Yeah, but Memphis beat UC for the championship the last time they played.
I think they'd want to do it again. Like I think they're going to want
basketball. Like in basketball,
they're going to want to beat everybody in everything this year, especially the teams that are leaving. Like you left us here. We're better than you, and you left us here.
Yeah, for sure.
Hoops question: what's a realistic goal for the season? Continued player and culture development, or making the tournament?
Look, I think if you've got Landers Nolly and Jeremiah Davenport and David Julius, I don't think it's unreasonable to want to see this team compete for an NCAA tournament spot. Does that? I think making the tournament is one step farther than I'm willing to go. I think where I'm willing to go is be in the conversation for the tournament all the way through March.
I think I'm already to the point where I am. If Cincinnati is not top 3 in basketball in the conference this season, by season's end, I'm disappointed. I think I'm ready to be there.
Yeah, I think where
top
they need
3.
to find out, I think where they need to are they ready is going to be on the interior. Because they have the guards and wings.
Yeah.
It's going to be a matter of can they hold up inside?
Who's going to step up?
If they can hold up inside and you've got the scoring and the productivity and the leadership on the perimeter, then you should be a team that competes for an NCAA tournament berth. The thing that's going to be difficult is so much of this is going to be decided by 3 days in Maui. Right?
$2,500. $2,500 if you want to charter. Go back and watch the BCJ pod. If you want to travel with the team to Maui, by the way.
$2,500. That's not terrible.
Anthony DeFino talks about it. It is time coded on the YouTube, and you can find out everything you need to know about traveling with the team to Hawaii. It's only $2,500 to travel, Chad. That doesn't include stay.
Sure. And if you've got the money to do that, click the the button to become a member of this channel on YouTube or Twitch.
Yeah, because you got silly money at that point.
I don't even know what this means. R.D. Mercer?
I don't know who R.D. Mercer is, but I don't know. Were you saying anything more about that though, as far as the continued player and cultural development or making the tournament? Or
no, I don't have a ton, left on that front.
Okay. Sorry, I was just dropping a shameless plug for the BCJ pod. Do you think the extra strength in the trenches will be better at stuffing runs?
Yeah, I think this team is going to be better against the run. I don't know how they're not.
I don't know if Billy Banks saw or heard the nightcap or the report from the goal line day, but you saw it firsthand what happened when they ran goal line.
They were dominant. Now today the offense was a little better, which you have to wonder is like, was the first time that they did goal line maybe a little wake up call for the offensive line? Like, look, we're going to score on these dudes.
Or are they scheming? Or are they now scheming against Dante Corleone?
Potentially. Like, I mean, but like Kiner's touchdown at the end of practice today was pretty much right at him, and the offensive line won that battle. I do think there was maybe a little bit of like, oh shit, in that first look, having Briggs and Corleone next to each other, and Jabari and Malik, and like all of a sudden, like you got 5 guys right at the point of attack that are all really, really powerful. And it did not go well. They did not move the point of attack, but they did a better job of that today against a similar group. So I'll give them credit for that. But even in the base, like 3-3-5, if that's what they run, I expect this group to be better at stopping the run than what we saw last year, because I think there's more power at the point of attack. 2, I think you're going to be a little fresher at linebacker, and I think Ivan Pace is kind of different. Like, that's not to take anything away from Joel DeBlanco, but Ivan Pace just kind of like, I've described it, and I think I've described it here too. I think Ivan Pace is kind of like a running back, like the way he operates as a running back playing linebacker, in that he knows how to like sift through traffic and find the hole and find like where the ball is. You know, a running back, like a shifty running back, is able to remember, I guess what the dude from the Steelers is like the perfect example of this. From
the guy who stepped away from the game, ended up with the Jets.
Yeah. Le'Veon Bell?
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell. Yeah.
Like Michigan he would kind of like hide back behind there, and then next thing you know, like he's gone. Mm-hmm. Like Ivan Pace has got some of that to him, where he just kind of like is hanging out, and then
Joe Mixon does a lot of that too.
Yeah, there's a 2-yard loss in the backfield because you didn't realize Ivan Pace was like
waiting,
had the
radars
locked on. The radars. Yeah. He missile locked on you. So I think there's a chance, run defense, that they're going to look a lot different than last year. And at times, the run defense was awesome last year. At times, it was a problem. And I think this year they're going to be better at handling that.
As we get ready to ask the next question, I do want to drop again that we are staying live as long as you guys are asking questions, and we have some good, noteworthy conversations to have. Also, if you didn't hear last time, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as we are trying to get those subs up.
Like and subscribe.
Mostly for the algorithms and what have you.
It helps us out.
The backer group excites me this year. Strongly believe we're loaded. We've talked about it. Luke's said 5 of his 11 best guys may be at linebacker.
Yeah.
Does Coach Bolden from Lakota West have a good relationship with the UC staff?
Yep.
Well, his son was here as a GA just last year.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. I've spent many practices hanging out with Tom and laughing my ass off because he's hilarious as a human.
You know, I only played 1 year of high school football, right?
You've never really told many high school football stories.
Well, because I don't have any, because I only played freshman year, and that was the only year I ever played football, and that was the last year I ever played football. But Bolden was on staff. He was one of the assistants at Northwest High School when I was there.
Yeah.
I didn't have a close relationship with him or anything.
He's awesome. Like he's really funny. He's
intense.
He's intense. Yeah. But I don't see him. When I see him, I don't see him in those situations. I'm seeing him like when he was there watching his son practice, or he would come and bring players down to camp in June, and we would hang out and chat. Like
for whatever it's worth, he's the only coach that I can't even tell you what the freshman head coach's name was, but I know Bolden outside of Coach Farmer, who was the varsity head coach.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said for that. That was before he went to Coleraine. That was before he went to Lakota West. So,
yeah.
What was Cummings' final impressions of Higher Ground? I believe he was the only coach newbie.
I haven't asked him yet.
Well, there was also several coach newbies.
Yeah, but not at Higher Ground. Well,
Noah,
the guy from Michigan,
the tight end coach.
Letton was there last year as a.
GA?
Letton's been here for 2 years as a GA.
GA.
Damn it. The new guy from Michigan that played at Michigan recently, whose name is escaping me.
Where's the coach?
He replaced Mace as like the sniper coach.
Oh. Yeah. Is there a J?
No, I've had too many beers.
I don't remember his name. We've not talked to him. I've not talked to him.
I had set up. We were supposed to talk to him at one point after practice, and then he was over like doing some extra work as we did a different interview, and then he like a ghost, he vanished. So yeah,
I'm looking it up.
I know. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't think of it right now. No, not Ricky Brown. Ricky Brown's from Elder. This is the guy that it's going to drive me nuts. Aaron, you're really slow at this.
Yeah, well, I'm going with the details you've given me. Michigan replacing Mason. Anyway. I guess as I continue to look for that.
I mean, I'm going to have it before you. Like, you're so bad at this. James Ross.
At this particular question, sure.
James Ross.
I'm saying I'm bad at this particular question. Normally, when will open gym resume?
Next summer. They generally don't run a lot of open gym in the fall.
I did see Tari Eason ran in that Pro-Am league with LeBron tonight, and Momster was all over that.
I'm sure she was.
Crying.
They're friends with Luke Fickle.
Oh yeah, we're not on the audio only format, so I don't have to actually read this one.
Yeah. Urban Meyer and Mark D'Antonio. D'Antonio has been to Higher Ground pretty much every year. Or if he doesn't make it to Higher Ground, he shows up for practice. Him and Luke are super close. Urban, I think, was actually in for the Zach Brown concert.
He's also back with Fox this year for their pregame. So,
I think that Saturday night there was a Zach Brown band concert in Cincinnati, and Urban was in town for that. He was apparently out with Thom the night before.
Stop it.
No, they were out, like out at a bar.
I mean,
Yeah. I don't know if they're checking anybody's oil or not.
There are not two dudes who could relate to one another more than Urban Meyer and Tom Brenneman.
Thom. Damn it.
Jesus.
But yeah, so he just, and again, Urban's son Nate is a GA at UC.
How's finding a new job going for you? Oh, it's tough out here, man. I'm down in the Caribbean.
Yeah, it's hard.
How's it going for you? I had to take my old job back at Fox. The NIL thing was probably not a great fit. Huh. Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
That co-ed's pretty, huh? Probably shouldn't talk about that.
So yeah, Urban, more than anything, like he's friends with Luke, but his son is on staff at Cincinnati. So he was in town. D'Antonio and Luke are like, that's Luke's mentor, or one of his mentors.
Never meet your heroes. I know AD Cunningham addressed the ongoing apparel provider search. Has there been any updates on them working with the licensing office to expand the brand more? I think you've seen some of the expanding the brand more, because I want to say a year ago, even maybe it was right at the beginning of last football season.
I'll let you answer this. I'm going to tinkle.
I think that was the first time that you started to see places like Homage or places like Cincy Shirts get even the licensing to where they could even have like the Luke Fickle collection right now with the Iron Sharpens Iron that I'm pretty certain 513 Shirts had before they had it. But I digress. But yeah, I think you're starting to see the brand expand more. That said, with Under Armour kind of on the way out, it's really hard for them to expand into putting a ton of merch out there right now, when who knows what next year brings. So you're not going to see a ton. This is how it's been explained to me anyway. You're just not going to see a whole bunch of like awesome gear for the fans to purchase and wear that even resembles anything remotely close to like what the guys are wearing on the court during pregame, or what the players are wearing on the field for practice for football or walkthroughs or anything like that, simply because they're not going to invest that type of money into something that is going to be on clearance in no time,
right,
if they go somewhere else.
Yeah. I agree.
That's what happens when you're in flux, unfortunately. But I think it's good to see the local brands taking advantage of it, like even Cincy Shirts or Homage and places like that.
And don't forget, there's an awesome collection over at Home Field from our partners there.
Yeah. I have a couple of those, and I've thoroughly enjoyed that. Jeff actually had something go wrong with
his, and they corrected it immediately.
They fixed it right away. So, yeah. Thoughts on how the Big Ten TV deal might play out for conferences like the SEC and Big 12?
That's a Dan Simon question.
That is a Dan Simon question. Although Jason Scheer is he is cut from the same mold.
Yeah, man, he is family. That guy's family.
I don't know if he felt the same way about us or not. I hope he did. But that dude is quite the follow, because he's all over this stuff. And
he would be like, if we were in this situation, that's who I would be.
He's like, sure.
That's me.
He doesn't mince words. He doesn't beat around the bush. And if someone comes at him, he will come at their throat.
I love it. God, I love it. We'll see. I mean, Big Ten cutting out ESPN. The Chris Holtman comments today, did you see those?
No, I missed that.
Where he was talking about, like, they have decided that they are going to aggressively pursue out-of-conference options that allow them to play on ESPN. Like, they're going to go to tournaments, like aggressively, that are on ESPN, so they can play on ESPN
to get that money, and then also
no, just to be on ESPN. Because basically, what's going to happen is, like, if Ohio State has a home game, they're going to determine, like, they'll be on Peacock or CBS or Fox. But if they play a road game in the non-conference against a team with an ESPN deal, there's a chance that like that game is going to be on ESPN. So they're going to aggressively like try to get on ESPN as much as they can in non-conference, so that they continue to have the ESPN exposure beyond what they control. It's like the crosstown shootout, right? Like when they play at Xavier, Xavier determines where the game is aired based on their TV deal. So Ohio State's going to be looking for ESPN games when they're building their non-conference schedule. I was like, wow, like you're not supposed to say, like you can think it, but you're not supposed to say it.
Well, and I wonder if to get back to Sean's question is if he's talking about like how with the escalators, right? Where if they add other teams into the conference.
No, he's just strictly talking about we need games on ESPN. Hold on.
I stopped reading after 6 words. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
He is talking about today. I didn't mean to stop reading after 6 words. It's been a long day.
Let's see. And he even used like the meme with it. Did you? I mean, here you go.
Oh, that meme is so funny. I can't get enough of that meme.
He posted that like in real life today on Twitter.
So even though the Big Ten has a new media deal, the OSU basketball team will still be on ESPN during pre-conference tournaments and select non-conference games. Well, I did notice a talking point that you and Dave had. Well, actually, it was probably you and Dan Simon. Was the fact that College Game Day is not going to Big Ten games anymore.
I mean, they'll be at.
People are starting to talk about it out loud, though.
Yeah.
And Dan Simon was vehemently against you when we mentioned it. And I why would you publicize those games? What does it do for you as a network? No one cares that you're there for your pregame.
Like, so here's the thing that people I think are missing in that conversation. So they would go occasionally to like Fox, like Fox games that were going to be on Fox or games that were going to be on CBS or whatever, right? Well, those conferences still had deals with ESPN. This is going to be, as we get into this Big Ten deal, the first time we see them make decisions on a conference that has washed their hands of ESPN. It's not like yes, your game is not on our network, but we still have a financial stake in your teams, right? Because like a Big Ten game that was going to be on Fox still had a financial stake for ESPN because promoting those teams mattered to ESPN. Now ESPN and the Big Ten are divorced.
And you know how I feel about preseason polls. What happens when you start having writers who they work for making sure that you have teams? Because we already know it's the thing that nobody talks about is that know that top 25, especially in preseason, is made to make sure you have top 25 matchups on TV. So what are you going to see now when you have writers voting for teams that help their network? Like journalistic credibility be damned.
Right.
I vote for my network.
Right.
Things might get real dicey.
Quick. Yeah. This is a funny one. I couldn't believe how clean Ben Bryant's practice jersey was. I do think that tells you Dez was gritty, man. Like Dez didn't care how pretty he was.
Hold up.
In practice.
Ben's also not wearing his old jersey from when he was here. He got a new jersey for camp this year.
I don't know that to be. I can't guarantee
Dez was recycling.
I don't know that to be true.
Dez was recycling.
How do we know that's not Ben's practice jersey from when he was here?
Come on, man.
Who wore 6 last year? Nobody? No, there's nobody who wore red 6. Ben wore that practice potentially. Ben wore that practice jersey for 3 years.
It's a great question when you see him again.
I'm going to ask him.
You
Is
should.
that new practice jersey?
You should.
Dez's practice jersey over 4 years, 5 years got pretty beat up.
How did nobody ask him about that?
I didn't think about it.
All Camp Higher Ground. Well done, Stephen. Well done. I hope
this is why we do this sometimes, because you guys give us good stuff. Like, people wanted to know about like Trey Tucker's thoughts on living with Tyler Scott. I thought we got great answers from Trey Tucker.
I also
living with Tyler Scott.
I also hope that Steven's playing his drinking game with how many times that we pop off camera like he does.
Oh, yeah.
I hope he's doing that tonight on a Saturday, especially.
The first hour we were pretty good. The second hour.
Well, that's because we both have been drinking more, and when you drink more, you want to take care of the Nick fix more.
As Aaron goes dark to
this one's for you, Steven.
Oh, all right. Well, we're still at 58.
We are. So again, if you have more questions, there's plenty of you in here that I'm sure have questions. No question is dumb. If it is,
we're kind of out of like our stuff to talk about.
I mean, we've done a nightcap every night about camp for two and a half weeks.
There have been great questions in this chat. Is Brendel's Bites dead? Yeah, she's 12, man. She doesn't give a shit about Brendel's Bites. That was fun to do when she was like 9 and she was like excited about it.
And COVID.
Yeah. Like now, I'm just trying to keep the peace in this household. If you've had a 12-year-old girl, you understand.
No.
What I'm saying.
No. If you've had a 12-year-old.
The girl thing is different. Trust me.
Look, I get it. I have 2 sisters.
Trust me.
They were a decade apart.
Yeah. The Brendel's Bites thing, maybe like when she gets older, we bring it back and have some fun with it. But I can't even get her to like agree to have where we're gonna have dinner tonight. Because she always wants something that we have no desire to have. And she throws a fit until she gets her way. Like she wanted Frisch's tonight. Like can we talk about Frisch's sucks?
It was a victim of COVID, right? Because I feel like all of their
sucked before then.
All of their ingredients and burger size and just everything, like quality of food went down.
The prices do not match the quality of food you get.
Chad, that's everything.
No, it's not. There's like, I'm pretty adamant about like, why do you think I'm so all in on Galactic?
Well, Galactic's a whole different ballgame. They're doing things that no one else is doing. No one. Yeah. Not for that size chicken.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
and we're not just saying that because they are a sponsor. I would say that if they were not a sponsor. Like,
right. You get your money's worth. Like I don't feel like at Frisch's I get my money's worth anymore. I would rather go to like a Mad Mike's or like a Chandler's Burger Bistro, like a region, like a local, a spot that's like in your neighborhood that makes good quality burgers for about the same price as Frisch's. There's really only one thing at Frisch's I ever desire. And that's their vanilla Coke. I
miss Frisch's at Fifth Third. They had the best deal in the entire arena, getting a burger and fries for like $7.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're coming back at Nippert. We'll see how that partnership goes. Like that was part of the.
If they're still running $7 for a burger and fries, let's go.
The hot fudge cake is good. I'll give you that.
You can't mess that up.
And it sucks too. Like what hurts Frisch's for me. One of the main things I loved at Frisch's was like the weekend breakfast bar. And who eats at a buffet anymore?
That's a good question.
Yeah. No comment. In this class, not like it normally is, just because they're basically done. And I think they're very happy with what they have.
Until you know what's leaving, how many scholarships you're going to have open up. You don't want to be one of those teams that offers more scholarships than you have available, and then you're asking people to leave your team.
Right. Or leave your recruiting class.
That's not who this staff has been, and I don't see that changing. With
you're still keeping your eye on things that are happening.
You keep the relationships open for look what happened with Corey Kiner.
Right.
Those relationships weren't dead.
Or if there's a coaching staff change and a kid might end up back on the market. But the problem right now is they're out of spots. Like, even the spots that they were kind of recruiting, like, those were like bonus guys that they didn't necessarily like.
Pace was a bonus guy, right? Like, they weren't in the market necessarily for a linebacker.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, this team does not miss with transfers. My goodness,
they're very good at it. The jersey and helmet combo at Arkansas. We will see that when Shark lets us know what it is.
There'll be a whole TikTok that people talk about for a week.
Let me tell you, if I did know, I wouldn't because Shark can whip my ass. I have no interest in fighting Shark over something like that.
Agreed. She would whip your ass.
That is what it is.
Without question.
Yeah. Like, that's not even a debate. That's not even a conversation.
I just like that. Is it fiance, right?
Yeah, fiance. Yeah.
Well, he would just stand there with his arms crossed, laughing at you.
Yeah. And he would be right.
He'd say,
You did this.
You did this to yourself.
Yeah. And I would be like, you're right. I should have never done that. So even if I don't know, but even if I did know, no, sir.
Escalator clause has to scare the 4 corner schools if the conference were to break up. Who starts the dominoes? Washington or Oregon, or one of the 4 schools?
I don't know. I normally would have a better answer for this.
It's chicken.
I've been at higher ground for 2.5 weeks. Like,
I can tell you, it's a giant game of chicken.
Do your thing.
It's a giant game of chicken. It's essentially who's going to break first. And I think that you can tell that the Pac-12 as a conference has to be scared right now, because they know they're the most poachable, and B, they are the conference that is. The Big 12 is solid. I don't think anybody, as of once you have, I saw an acronym for it. It's OUT is what they're calling it, with OU and UT being out. I think that's hilarious that they capitalize all 3, and that's what they're calling the movement, the OUT movement. But yeah, I mean, with Oklahoma and Texas gone, the Big 12 is solid. I don't think you're going to see anybody leaving, unless they're offered an SEC or Big 10 spot. But it would literally take the Big 10 saying, we are going to destroy the Big 12, or the SEC saying, we are going to destroy the Big 12, and poaching 2 to 4 members. But then you have no room for a Notre Dame. Then you have no room for a Clemson. You have no room for a North Carolina or an Oregon, which is what people are still speculating would be the next thing to go. Which, again, I go back to the Pac-12 being the most poachable. So if the Pac-12 is the most poachable, it's a large game of chicken. But you see the writers freaking out. They don't know what to do. So they're like just slandering the Big 12 with from the top.
I've never seen anything like it in terms of
Clive is out here.
Well, and he's obviously using Stuart Mandel and John Wilner and the clown from Oregon.
Absolutely.
They are his attack dogs. Like, it's become politics almost.
What I think is hilarious, though, is that whoever's in charge of the Big 12 Twitter account is not afraid to clap back.
Yeah,
not afraid to clap back. And you like to see that out of whoever your Mark has put in charge of running the Twitter account for the Big 12.
Jason we'll absolutely have Jason. Hopefully Arizona's in the conference like here soon,
Yes.
and we can have him on regularly because I fucking love that dude.
3 times a year. two Arizona games in basketball,
and one in football.
And one in football.
This is sobering. I'm not gonna lie. And I've got a pretty good buzz going right now. The conversation on the today's practice report has veered into like, can this team be better than next year's team or better than last year's team? And our guy, class of 1985, which is Paul, if you're familiar with a lot of these live shows,
Paul, who does his Zoom calls in his library full of books.
Full of books. Mahogany bound.
I love Paul.
Mahogany bound books.
His house smells of leather bound books and rich mahogany.
He said this in response to this team being better at linebacker and running back than a year ago. He said, "You're expecting more from the linebackers this year than 279 tackles, 39 and a half tackles for loss, 11 and a half sacks, 2 interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries, 15 hurries, and 6 pass breakups. More from the running backs than 2,100 rushing yards and 28 rushing touchdowns. Wow. Don't expect much, do you?" I do think we are getting to a point where, like, because the season is upon us, and as fans are apt to do, we are in some ways forgetting how awesome that team was last year. And not just at quarterback, not just at boundary corner, but everywhere.
Look at the NFL. Kobe Bryant, who people were like, oh, he was a guy who survived because Sauce was a dog, and Kobe got picked on, in quotes, air quotes, if you're not at your computer. It sounded like you were up and moving around. But Kobe is potentially going to be a starting cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks because he's held his own against DK Metcalf and a great wide receiver core in Seattle. I mean, Jerome Ford is breaking everybody in Cleveland to where they're like, Kareem Hunt, if you want to be traded, maybe we can trade you because we might have a dude in Jerome Ford.
Yeah.
Darian Beavers is making people wonder if he was a steal of the draft in the 6th round.
Yeah.
Joe DeBlanco, undrafted free agent, leading tackles the first Seattle preseason game. He didn't lead in the second game, but I think he tallied another 4. Kobe might have been the leading tackler, actually. He was up there.
Yeah.
I think he had 2 pass breakups as well. I mean, dudes everywhere.
But this is what happens, right? You get close to the start of the next season.
Recency bias, sure.
And you convince yourself it's going to be just as good.
We don't know yet.
And I openly said in that thread when I was asked, like, are they going to be better than last year? I said, if they're better than last year, you put a diamond-encrusted statue of Luke Fickell atop the practice facility.
Where students can't reach it.
Right. That's why, yeah. Like, yeah. You're not going to just put the diamond Luke, like, down on the plaza.
He looks down over everybody wearing an iron sharpens iron cutoff.
Right? In a like the movies where they got the lasers, like in one of those.
There's snipers watching.
Yeah. But if they're like, this is the best team in program history by a mile. And that 2009 team was awesome. Awesome. Nowhere close. Come on. Are they going to be?
Marty Gilliard was better than any of the receivers.
Marty Gilliard might have been the best player, like except for Sauce. Marty Gilliard might have been the best player, but like,
just saying,
that defense in 2009 isn't even close to what the defense was a year ago.
Kevin Huber would like a word.
Did he play defense? Did I miss that?
No, I was just That was a callback to me the other day when I was just
Right.
rattling people off. I
But
totally stole that segment from Dan Levitard.
yeah, but I mean, where am I going to go, Lambic? We've been live for how have we been live for 2 hours and 9 minutes?
I don't want to talk about it because I think I'm in the doghouse when I go back upstairs.
I probably am too. Kelly is no longer. Kelly was in the living room watching TV, and I just went to grab another beer, and she's no longer in the living room. The dogs are gone. Like, it's not great.
To go back to this 12-hour marathon stream the week leading up to Arkansas, we do have plans on doing another subathon at some point. But I will say, the next time we do a subathon, I think it might not be on YouTube. I think it'll end up eventually on YouTube. But
We'll see.
While we are live, it may only be on Twitch. To build up the Twitch stream for just another thing.
The reason that the subathon was live on YouTube
was to build subs.
We tried to build the YouTube stream. It's all tied together, relative. Like we're not. I know people think we just do this like willy nilly, like with no like thought process to any of it. But trust me, we at least discuss the plan before we do it. Maybe not.
This is not going to be a fun one to go back and re-listen to time code. I'll tell you that.
Don't worry about it. Don't even worry. Like, this is just one of those like freelance, if you're here, you're here. If you weren't,
they're coming to expect it, Chad.
I know.
We're getting there.
Look, this is the important thing, I think, William. As Aaron and I have talked about this a lot. There is a lot in this market that if you look around the country at what is being done, TikTok is being done, Instagram's being done, Twitch is being done, YouTube's being done. Like,
you know how I know that we're doing our job well right now, Chad?
How's that, Aaron?
Is because I'm seeing incoming freshmen add me on Twitter.
Yeah.
People that I've never interacted with. They've never interacted with me. I've never had likes from them or comments from them or anything like that. But they're incoming freshmen, and they're like, oh, this is a dude that I should follow.
Here's the thing. You know what we're doing, Aaron?
Getting more followers as we stay up later.
We're yeah. What do we?
I don't know.
We're getting Big 12 ready.
Yeah.
Because when you go into those situations, there is a presence in all of those digital outlets, the digital footprint.
Well, like we've talked about at length, and this is a peek behind the curtain for those of you who care about that sort of thing. We've had lengthy conversations about. I don't think I'm releasing anything that's super secret information, but we have talked about this year being a big year for experimenting in everything that we do,
seeing what doesn't,
in everything that we do as far as these types of conversations. When scrimmage was today, I didn't want to go live. We went live. It's paid off. I can tell you right now that it's literally paid off. But we're doing these types of things to try and see what is working, what doesn't work, as we want to make sure. Cincinnati talks about being day one ready. Bearcat Journal also has to be day one ready for when it is July 1st, 2023. We need to know, get our ducks in a row to know, like, we are ready to be the spot that everybody needs to come to, whether they be fans of the Cincinnati program, fans of Kansas State, fans of Iowa State, fans of Baylor, whoever, name a school, it doesn't matter. We want to be the same source that you guys go to for, like, Sikkim 365 or the dude from Kansas State. His name escapes me. Yeah. Thank you. But so we want to be that and make sure that we are that, and there is no one rivaling us for that. The same way that we know that we are already doing for the written content, which continues to expand. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that's an important part that's kind of been left out of this is, like, part of the reason of why Sikkim 365 is so big, part of the reason why John Kurtz is so big, is because all the other schools in the Big 12 follow those guys for information on those teams. That should be us when Cincinnati goes into the Big 12. That should absolutely be where everybody in those fan bases go to follow us. T-Win, I tried to, I submitted, just for you, I submitted my verified application.
I bugged him enough about it, T-Win. He did tell me he did submit for
it didn't happen. They didn't verify me. That's on them. There's nothing I can do. You got to contact a Twitch that'll verify me. Fine, I'll be verified.
Whatever. Can you try and go through 24/7 to see if they can assist you with that?
Maybe. I hate.
I know you hate. I know you hate. This one's an easy thing, I would think, though.
Maybe. I don't know. Am I hoping to go on with the Sikkim guys consistently? I have a great relationship with those guys. Whenever they ask me to come on, I come on. Like, that's the only thing I have control of.
It's also going to be reciprocal, we hope.
Yeah, I'd like to have, one or two of those guys join us regularly as well to talk Baylor.
Have you or Dave reached out to the guy from Arkansas from 24/7, the Hog?
We have gotten to a point where we, at least right now, have kind of stopped doing that. I'm sure like when we get to the Big 12, it'll pick back up.
I just mean for week 1.
I know. Having the opponent's like coverage guy on has actually been shows that haven't performed well on our network.
Things have been a little different here lately too.
Yeah, of course. Like we've grown, and we're bigger in terms of subscriptions on Bearcat Journal than we've ever been. We reached a new high during camp.
I know that
we've reached a new high on the YouTube.
That dude has like 48,000 followers on Twitter.
The problem is it's also a one-time thing.
Yeah, I know, I get that. And listen, one-time things hit. Financially, they hit.
Yeah. I've gone on with Kurtz before. We just haven't really had a reason to like have him on yet. But I've got a good relationship with John. So that is something like as we go forward. I hate, because I know like how I am. I don't say no to anything. And I know it also puts me in a situation where I'm like, damn it, did I really agree to that?
I think you're also getting to a place where you may be able to pass the baton off.
Buck a little bit, yeah.
To some of the other people, especially who knows what I don't know how, I don't want to drop anything that there's things growing. Let's just say.
Yeah. Lambing, did you just DM the helmets to me? Is that what you're wanting to send me? Those are pretty dope. Those are pretty dope for the badges, Aaron.
Mm-hmm. I imagine you got your Twitter on your computer, right? You can share it.
Yeah, I'm gonna share it. How about these for badges?
I don't like the white bee. I'll say that.
Well, that's because you're lemming and programmed to hate the white helmets.
Well, no.
No, down here on the left.
Yeah, the 3-year.
Okay, yeah,
the 3-year mark. And I see what you're doing, so I get it.
I don't hate it. It looks pretty good.
Can you do a white bee, or I'm sorry, a black bee with white claws, as opposed to the white bee with black claws? I get it. Totally, really quick and rough. That's the only thing that stands out for me on those.
Those are dope. Those are really like that 1 year is a t-shirt, bro.
Shit, 1 month is a t-shirt. What do you mean?
Yeah. People freak out. I don't think anybody would buy a white helmet shirt.
Fair enough.
Gray t-shirt with the black helmet and the B logo. Woo! With the red mask. Although I like the white mask is pretty outstanding too.
Lambig, if you have more ideas like this on how to grow some silly things on Twitch, feel free
Hit
to
up Aaron.
feel free to hit Chad's DMs all day.
Yeah, those are fantastic.
You have to sub for longer than 6 months to get out of white helmet purgatory.
Oh, you don't like the white helmets? Yeah. Okay. Well, you got to sub for 9 months to get out of white helmets.
That's fantastic.
Oh, that's great. Really quick and rough, dude. That's great.
For those of you who don't know why we are hitting up Twitch, I don't think this is crazy information to release.
No.
BCJ basically gets $3 for every Amazon Prime free membership connect. That
$3.50, I think. I think it's $3.50
per month, just for you. Even if it's something
having Amazon Prime,
even if it's something that you never watch, just for you being a subscriber, it will auto resub every month that you have Amazon Prime.
No, it doesn't auto resub. You have to go back.
Oh, you have to go back and resub. Okay, cool. Still, I mean, this.
Yeah.
No big deal.
You get basically what they allow you to do is like to have the choice of whatever Twitch community you want to subscribe to with your Amazon Prime sub. So you have to go back every month and like resubscribe to that community. But if you have Amazon Prime and you're not using it on Twitch to sub to anybody, we would love for you to sub to us. Please. And then we get that money that you're already spending on Amazon Prime. There's nothing, there's nothing that comes out of your checking account. There's nothing you have to do other than just to hit subscribe follow is different than subscribe on Twitch. Subscribe through Amazon Prime gives us the subscription.
So we're at 2:20. It's hard to stay on here anymore as we just discuss business models. If you have questions,
still here.
I know. If you have questions, please drop them. Otherwise, I'm going to go find out how much trouble I'm in.
Do you want to call it a night? Do you need to call it a night?
I think we got at least 10 minutes. We'll get to 2.5 hours and see what happens.
Yeah.
On Twitch, you can also gift subs. So if you wanted to give somebody else a sub, you can do that as well.
You can do that. That was a big thing this week to get Twitch affiliate. Like we're not a partner yet. We don't have a contract with Twitch at this point in time. But we are affiliate, which allows you to do a lot of those things.
And as we, I need to reach back out to the people now that I don't believe cross-platform is a thing with Madden, but I need to at least reach out to the people who have PS5s, and I don't know if you can even do PS5, PS4.
No, I think it's just strictly PS5, PS5.
But we may start doing some things with Madden, just again to get ready for when NCAA football drops.
That's the goal on Twitch.
Right before the Big 12. This is us trying to just toy with things to see what's going on before NCAA drops next year. And we start doing that with the members. So,
we're interested, bro. That was really good. We liked it. The helmets are, I never even really, I don't know why I've never even thought of that, but like the BCJ logo on helmets is fucking fantastic.
In that other corner on the wall behind your right shoulder? Yeah.
This one.
The small wall?
This one.
No. The other one.
Over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little mini
just
helmets with the BCJ logo.
A floating shelf with 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. That wouldn't be hard. You just have to get like the little stickers, mini helmets and
stickers with the different face masks and the different helmets, and just rotate it as we've been live on Twitch for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months,
right,
etc.
No,
etc.
Because I've thought about getting shelving right here.
Yeah,
that would be great for the shelving.
I mean, you could just leave a little one right there on that corner of the desk that's visible.
That's not a desk. It's actually a tray table.
Oh, for food.
Well, no, I charge things there. Like that's what was there before was my the PlayStation.
The PlayStation
headset.
Oh, you
charging.
You got that one?
Yeah, I got.
I thought you got the 3D. I thought you got the 3D Touch one.
No, I got this one.
Okay.
I
went with the.
But yeah, I charge my.
I went with the cordless
cameras. 3D. This is cordless.
The 3D Touch. I went with the PlayStation actual 3D Touch for like $100.
No, this is a Sony. Like the high end
one.
I paid way too much for this headset, but
I don't doubt that.
But I charge my cameras and all the things that I need for content over on this little tray table. All right, you ready to go to bed?
Yeah, people are starting to drop off a little bit. Questions aren't showing up anymore. It's about that time.
So much for a quick nightcap. I told Kelly when I was like,
I did the same thing.
Give me an hour, we'll be good to go.
Yeah, I'm in trouble.
Here we are, 2.5 hours later. We love you guys. Why did I do 2.5 more hours of content? I just did 1,000 hours of stuff over the past 3 weeks.
6:30, Holly.
6:30. I have radio. Yeah.
You're not gonna like this.
What?
I'm in town next weekend.
I don't mind if you come
on Friday.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a fantasy football draft that starts at 7. I can't even get back. There's no way in hell I get back to IKEA Westchester.
No. Even if you showed up just to say hello.
Even if I showed up at 8. I'm missing like 4 rounds.
Yeah. It's all good.
There's money involved and
yeah. I've heard enough about your fantasy football league. Like
wild.
You go handle what you got to handle. It's fine.
I did get an apology tonight, by the way.
It's good to hear. Let's wrap it up. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Like you guys are animals. We're
crazy people.
We're still way above where I had even imagined that this was gonna.
The people that are in here right now is the average for a weeknight podcast.
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming on a Saturday night nightcap unannounced.
Where we didn't really even hit on the scrimmage all that much, even though we planned to.
Because it's in the premium content on BCJ.
Yeah. Go to Bearcat Journal to get all the scrimmage stuff. But we talked a ton about the Luke interview and the Will Huber interview and Trey Tucker and a lot of the stuff that's gone on over the past 2.5 weeks. You guys had awesome questions. That's maybe the best question night we've ever had.
I'd agree.
It's not really good,
easily top 5.
Yeah, some really good, thought-provoking, interesting stuff. So that's why I think we move this to member only.
That's why the mailbag has survived.
Yeah. If we move this to member only, I think these things get even more interesting because it'll be the people that really care, that have the good questions and cultivate the good conversation. So, all right, man. Thanks to all of you. This was amazing. I did not see this going the way it did, but you know what? That's happened 20 times since we started this YouTube channel, Aaron.
If you haven't already, hit subscribe to this channel, please. Whether you're on Twitch, whether you're on YouTube,
and if you have Amazon Prime, sub to the channel.
Help us out.
Make it happen. Help us out. All right. He's Aaron Smith. I'm Chad Brendel. Super huge thanks to everybody for joining us tonight. Thanks to Galactic Fried Chicken, as always, for sponsoring. This is the Nightcap right here on BearcatJournal.com.
Sit!